Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 833. Barney on the Rebound. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop over at Weavers and check out the new Taylor's Front Porch Candle. That's right, we have candles over at Weavers. You can pick them up. If you don't like that one, there's three others to choose from: Floyd's Barbershop, Old Man Kelsey's Woods, and Old Man Kelsey's Ocean. Go check that out. There's tons of new t-shirts and stuff, from the Mayberry Cruise t-shirt to the Floyd's Barbershop to the Fun Girls. Wow, go check out all the new Mayberry shirts. And maybe you want to get a Mayberry Hotel keychain. Get one of those as well. Head over to Weavers and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. Our executive producer of episode number 833 is Mike McGonigal. So thank you, Mike. He's one of our patrons over on Patreon. So if you'd like to go over to patreon.com/2chairs, you can donate money to me too. And that helps me keep the show going. So I appreciate it. So thanks for being here. Thanks for Mike. Thanks for all of you who are here paying any attention to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Cause it's so fun to get together and talk about the Andy Griffith Show. I'm Allan Newsome, the host here at Two Chairs No Waiting. And it's always fun to gather and just tell stories and remember things. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Barney on the Rebound, that episode of the Andy Griffith Show. You know, when Barney's head's turned by this young lady and, he falls. Well, he doesn't really fall for her, but she makes it out like he did. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, I want to do the trivia about that particular episode. So we're going to do the trivia. Now, this trivia is all based, it's all Barney on the Rebound, and it is from MeTV, basically. So I found they have a daily quiz that they do, daily. So, so they have their daily quiz of Andy Griffith Show trivia, and so that's what we're going to kind of pull these trivia questions from. So these are all multiple choice, but I'm not going to give you the multiple choice necessarily. Okay. So here, if everybody's ready, I'm going to play our trivia music, so everybody will be in the mood. And so I get a little background music. There it is. All right. So here we go. We're going to run through them pretty quick, and I'll give you the answers at the end of the episode. But I know I'm going to give the answer away if I tell you about the show first. So let's just do the trivia. Here we go. Question 1. As the episode opens, Barney admonishes Thelma Lou for doing what? So I'll give you the multiple choice because that seems a little hard. He admonishes Thelma Lou for parking illegally, kissing him, or holding his hand. Which is it? All right. Which is it? All right. So question number 2. Barney gives a visitor a police escort so she can visit which Mayberry landmark? The post office, Floyd's Barbershop, or the hotel? Question number 3. The visitor introduces herself to Barney as what name? Vanessa, Melissa, or Glenda? Question number 4. According to Barney, what's yellow, has 4 legs, flies, and weighs 1,000 pounds? Is it a Airbus, an elephant with a banana in its ear, or two 500-pound canaries? Which one is it? All right, question number 5. We're halfway through nearly. Barney says that when he leaves the deputy gig, he plans to do what? Is he going to become a sheriff, play professional ball, or get into the private detecting work? All right, question 6. From now on, blank. Barney Fife, that's me. Fill in that blank. From now on, blank, Barney Fife. Would it be woman-proof Barney Fife? That's me. Smartened up Barney Fife, that's me. Or level-headed Barney Fife, that's me. Which one is it? All right. Question number 7. The woman and her father threatened Barney with what kind of lawsuit? Was it a breach of promise, a breach of contract, or a breach of documentation? Number 8. It's revealed the woman's real name is what? What is her real name? Is it Jeanette, Gladys, or Gertrude? Okay. So the woman, she shows her hand by referring to Barney as which of these insults? Did she call him a Nimrod, a wimp, or a squirt? And the final question, who plays the scam artist woman? Ooh, this one's pretty hard. Who plays the character? Who plays her? Beverly Tyler, Jane Nye, or Julie Stevens? Ooh, that was pretty tough. All right, so we will revisit these at the end of the episode after we get finished. So, all right, so we're going to talk about Barney on the Rebound. Now, this episode was the 5th episode of season 2. It was the 36th episode filmed and the 37th episode aired. So they weren't filmed and aired in the same order as they were, shown. The original air date was October the 30th, 1961. The writers were Jack Ellison and Charles Stewart. Bob Sweeney was the director. So the episode opens up. Oh, I need to get some background music for this too. No, let's do this one. There we go. We'll just turn it down. All right. So the episode opens up with the opening of the Andy Griffith Show, of course. Andy and Opie walking down the street. But then you see the squad car pulling up to the parking spot that's just outside the courthouse. And Thelma Lou gets out, as does Barney. And, they begin having a little conversation down the street. And Thelma Lou kisses Barney on the cheek. And Barney admonishes her for that. So there you go. There's one of the trivia questions. See, that's just why we do the trivia questions first. So there's one of your answers. He says, it doesn't look good kissing me on the street like that. So he kind of gets on to her. And as they're talking, a car pulls up behind the squad car and parks in the sheriff's parking spot, the sheriff's only parking spot. And Barney goes to tell the lady she's got to move. It's a traffic violation. So he leaves Thelma Lou, walks over to her, and of course she's very attractive. She's an attractive lady and begins to affect Barney with her wily ways. I don't know. And so basically she says she's new to town and she was looking for the post office. And he goes, well, I can take you right over there. So he opens the door for her, gets her in their car. He goes around to get in his car. And of course, during that time, Thelma Lou's come back out of the grocery store where she had been going and sees this occurring and sees Barney acting like a pitiful man. It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, there he is just fawning all over this lady. He basically turns on the squad car and drives in a U-turn from in front of the courthouse to the other side of the road to the post office while Thelma Lou watches this. And he's running the siren at the same time. So they get over there and he gets back out of the car and helps the lady go into the post office. Well, the next scene we see is Thelma Lou talking to Andy, still holding her bag of groceries, telling Andy how silly Barney looked and what he did. And then Barney comes walking in. So, hey, hi, Thelma Lou. Finished with your shopping, did you? And she says, did you finish with your shopping? So he begins to tell her about this girl that just moved to town, and he knew everything about her. He knew her dad had been this or that, and she had never married, and he'd heard his name. He knew everything. And at some point, Thelma Lou is pretty upset about this. How did you find out all that just taking her over to the post office? Well, I stood her and walked her in and showed her, and Andy's sitting there, and he said, that's normal. And he said, Andy, I'd just soon stay out of this. So Thelma Lou obviously gets mad at Barney. I mean, who wouldn't? This is embarrassing to her and him. He was acting terrible. So this is the episode where Andy is sitting there with his back turned to Thelma Lou, Barney, trying to stay out of this conversation. But he does, as Barney continues to talk, say, Barney, if I was you, I'd change the subject. And Barney just keeps on digging a hole. He keeps on until Thelma Lou just gets mad. And he says again, I think I'd change the topic. I'd change the subject. And Thelma Lou finally gets mad enough that she says, well, Mr. Fife. And anyway, she walks out and Andy says, well, Barney, I believe it's now too late to change the subject. So the next day comes along and evidently things still not good. Thelma Lou won't answer. She won't talk to Barney. She's mad. And Andy says, well, she'll get over it. You need to go over and make it up with her and everything. And Barney's basically said, I'm through with women. I have nothing. I'm finished. I'm done. I'm done with women. And the phone rings and it's Melissa Stevens, the lady who was in the car. That was the name she gave. And he goes, oh, hi, Melissa. And Andy's just like, are you kidding me? And she invites him over to dinner for that night. And he goes, well, sure, why not? And Andy's just like, I wouldn't have done that. And he says, why not? I can play this game, And so basically, Barney goes into his Romeo act that he always goes into. Next scene we see is he's over there and he's visiting with Melissa and her father. They're visiting, sitting around after dinner, and he's telling some of the worst jokes ever. And that's where that joke came from. What weighs 1,000 pounds is yellow and can fly. 2 500-pound canaries was the answer. That is your trivia question that I gave you earlier. So and they laugh. They think it's great and everything. And so Barney thinks he's just doing, he's just wooing these people. It's great. He has his harmonica with him. He pulls it out and oh, you play a music as well. They are laying it on thick to Barney. And Barney, of course, absorbs all of it. And, he begins to play his harmonica and they think it's great. Scene fades away. Next morning, Andy's in the courthouse. Barney comes walking in, strutting like a rooster in the hen house. And Andy comes out and says, had a late night, did you? Yeah. It was late. These late nights are going to kill me. I didn't hit the pillow till 10:30. So anyway, so Andy says, well, if I was you, I think I'd be heading over to Thelma Lou's and make up. And Barney says, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And so he's got another date that night. He goes over and is having dinner again with Melissa and her dad. And they go, and after dinner, go in and sit down on the couch. Barney is maneuvered so that he sits beside Melissa on the couch, and the father sits in the armchair on the other side of the room, and he excuses himself, saying, you two probably want to be alone. So he goes upstairs, and Melissa's sitting real close to Barney, and she keeps getting closer and closer and leans way over on him and then reaches up and turns off the lamp. She says, because it was hot in here. He goes, well, yeah, it's just surprising how much those 60-watt bulbs can put out heat. And he has literally got his head stuck up into the lampshade looking at those lights. And he is, his arms are straight in front of him, by the way, and she's wrapped around him, hugging him around the shoulders and laying her head over on him. And basically she says, wouldn't you like to just stay like this? He said, well, yeah. She stands up and proclaims for her father to come downstairs that Mr. Fife has just proposed. So Barney's like, what? So the scene ends with Barney looking completely confused when Melissa is draped around his arms and the dad's smiling and patting him on the shoulders. Well, the next morning, Andy and Opie and Aunt Bee are sitting at the kitchen table. Aunt Bee's reading the paper, and she notices in the gossip column that it says, what local deputy is basically looking to get married to a new lady in town. Well, she tells that, and Andy says, give me that. Let me look at it. And as he's reading it, Opie goes, why does Barney need 2 girls? He already has 1 girl. What's he need 2 girls for? And Andy just kind of does the best. He goes, he don't. He don't. And so as that continues, Andy's reading it. Barney comes in a panic saying, have you seen this? Have you seen that? He's got his own paper. And Opie goes, Barney, why do you need two girls? And he says, Opie, come with me. They leave the kitchen. So basically, Barney is obviously in a panic because this girl is saying that they're engaged. They are engaged to marry, and it's in the paper already. I mean, this happened last night. And so he's, Andy, you got to help me. You've got to help me. So Andy said, I will. So they go over to Thelma Lou's house, and Andy tells Barney, stay in the car, and when everything's good and I've had time to talk to her, listen for me to sneeze, and when I sneeze, you come in. Well, Andy goes into the house, and he goes to the door, and Thelma Lou comes out, and he goes in, and he begins to talk to her. And in the meantime, you see Barney get out of the car and go up onto the porch. Well, Andy is talking to Thelma Lou. She said, if you're here to talk to me about a certain person, I don't want to talk about that. And he says, oh, no, this is official. I just want to talk about the Founders Day pageant. And she's like, well, we have founders, so I guess we should have a pageant. He said, yeah, I didn't know if you want to get drums and fife corps. Oh, fife. I said fife, and that's exactly who you didn't want to talk about. Oh, but since the subject's broached, and she gets mad and says, no, I do not want to talk about him. So she gets up and walks to the front door to get Andy to leave. And as she opens it, Barney falls into the house because, he was sitting at the door listening with his ear. And anyway, it wasn't the right time. But Thelma Lou's mad. But between Andy and Barney, they get Thelma Lou to agree that she forgives Barney, and everything. And because Barney tells her she's the only girl he cares about, so basically Thelma Lou says, well, what are you going to do about this? He said, well, I'll handle that. So they make up there in the living room enough that Barney looks over to Andy and says, haven't you got somewhere you need to be? But he tells them, well, I'll go right over there and tell her this is off. So we see Andy and Barney back in the courthouse, and Barney walks in, and he's all happy again. He says, well, you took care of it? Yep, I did. Took care of it. I just told her it's off. This is not going to happen. And so Andy says, well, that's good. So basically then the phone rings, and it's Mr. Stevens, her dad, basically saying that he's going to sue Barney for breach of promise. Another one of our trivia questions from earlier. So Barney's like, what are we going to do? He says, well, I don't know. We'll work out something. Scene cuts to Melissa and her father standing in front of Andy in the courthouse. She's crying, and because he is, Barney's broken this off, and the dad's like, look, Sheriff, see this? This is, I need satisfaction from this. We're going to have to sue him for breach of promise. And Andy says, well, surely we could work something out. Well, the guy's really quick to go, well, yeah, maybe we could work something out, some kind of financial payment or agreement. Well, Andy picks up on the fact that they gave into this really quick, like that maybe that was their original intent. And so Andy says, well, I think we can work something out. About then, Barney comes back in. Andy says, Barney, I want you to stand right here beside Melissa, and Melissa, you stand here, and if you'll just step back, Mr. Stevens. Andy reaches into his drawer and pulls out a book and stands up and says, we're going to settle this problem we got right here. So he begins, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today, and you can see the look on everybody's faces. Barney is completely flabbergasted. The other two are starting to get upset and angry. Wait a minute, what are you doing here? Well, we're going to marry him, so if I marry them, there won't be a breach of promise, so it'll be settled. And she says, are you kidding me? And he's like, shh, be quiet. And basically says, wait a minute, you're not talking too nice to your father there. She said, because she had said, I'm not going to marry this squirt. That was another one of our trivia questions. So basically Andy says, now could it be you can't marry Barney because you are already married to each other? And he says, she starts to try to say something, and the father goes, all right, Gladys, just forget it. Another one of our trivia answers. Gladys was her real name. Just stop. He says, well, we didn't do anything. He said, well, you tried, and that's a crime, but I guess I'll let you just need to leave. And by leave, I mean Mayberry. And they leave and walk out. And Barney still has the exact same vacant look on his face from when the whole thing started. Andy, you just saved me. How did you know that they wouldn't go through with this? Andy said, well, I got to thinking, why would a real pretty girl like her want to marry a squirt like you? And he walks out of the courthouse and Barney follows him. What do you mean squirt? Our final scene is Andy, for some reason, goes over to Thelma Lou's and he knocks on the door. I guess he knocked on the door, but he opened and said, Thelma Lou. And she's like, oh, the lights are all off. It's dark. And she goes running into the kitchen in the dark. And Andy comes in the front door and he's like, Barney, are you in here? Yeah. Wow, it's sure dark. So Andy flips the lights on and they hold off on this in the camera shot. We don't get to see Barney for a few seconds as Andy is still talking to him, but Andy is grinning and covering his face with his hand. Got his hand over his face. We finally cut to Barney, and Barney is sitting on the couch holding a cup of coffee, and he has lipstick on his hair. His face, his hair's all messed up. He said, Andy's like, you think things are going to work out? He said, well, I believe with a little effort that everything will turn out okay, and it's going to be good. And basically, that's how the episode ends, with a few more words from Barney. But there we go. That is the rundown of Barney on the Rebound. So I hope you guys, I hope you enjoyed that. All right, so we got some odd facts known by a few I want to give you. All right, so in this episode, the car at the beginning of the episode that the lady is driving, Melissa, it has a tag number on it. And that tag number is VT722. You can read it really easy on the episode. You can see it very easily. It's VT722. In this episode, it's on a Chevrolet driven by the Mayberry's new mayor, Parley Bear, Mayor Stoner, when he starts in Andy and the new mayor. When that episode comes along, they use that same tag number. So there you go. Keep that in mind. But they reused the tag number on the Mayor Stoner's car in Andy and the new mayor. Just always something going there. So when Barney pulled up, he kind of parked in front of the fire hydrant. So if you watch when Barney originally, this was before Melissa came up, of course, when Barney came up, he's parked almost right beside the fire plug. Well, if you'll remember a few episodes ago, somebody was parked close to the fire hydrant and Barney stepped it off to make sure they were not too close. Well, he was almost too close in this episode. At least that's what people think. So he had parked in front of it, and he thought that was a little bit unusual. And then when the con artist comes up behind him and parks with that tag number I just mentioned, Barney stops his conversation with Thelma Lou and heads over to tell the driver to move the car because it's reserved for official vehicles. But technically, maybe Barney should have written himself a ticket because he was real close to the fire hydrant there in that episode. So he parked the squad car very close, if you can see it. So anyway, that's again, I think I've told you before, that fire hydrant was obviously a prop because it wasn't always there. It was there at times, and other times it was not there. So just something else, an odd fact known by a few. All right, so in the episode, evidently you can see at least some point where Barney is over by his desk in the courthouse. You can see the radio set in the back of there on his desk, and the dispatch radio for the sheriff's office It's beside the gun rack there on that table. It's a Motorola, as indicated by the M insignia that you can see on the front of it. So it's a Motorola radio for the dispatch unit that he could call to the squad car or even state police and stuff. All right, so as Andy, this is a little continuity error, I believe. When Andy goes to try to help Barney make up with Thelma Lou, Andy goes over to Thelma Lou's house, remember, and Barney goes with him. As Andy and Barney go up on the porch, what you can see is they're using an outside location, right? So it's a real location across the street from the studio where the Andy Griffith Show was filmed. It's across the street over there. They used it for Thelma Lou's exterior shots. That's what they always used. Well, what they're saying here is the dimensions on the porch, when he comes on the porch, between the left side of the door and the wall of the porch that you can see in that shot, versus the one you see once he's inside, which the next shot's when Thelma Lou comes to open the door. It's not near as far from the edge of the door to that left wall as it is from when seen on the exterior shots. So there's a dimension issue. It's kind of like with the courthouse from season 1, where the front of the courthouse didn't match the inside of the courthouse with the window on the left side of the doors of the courthouse. There was no window there in the first season. This is similar. The dimensions are different. Back then, nobody would have noticed this. This was really a fairly quick shot, and really you don't really notice it unless you're really a trained noticer. So whoever noticed that, congratulations to them. They did a great job when they did it. All right, so at some point when Barney is making up with her after, and Andy's helping make up with Thelma Lou, he says, "I love you too much, too much." They say, "Yeah, that's why I love you too much, too much." Well, when he says that, I didn't know this, but he's quoting, or Mary very likely is quoting, the chorus of an Elvis Presley 1956 hit song called "Too Much," where the chorus of that actually talks about "I love you too much, too much." It actually says that. So Barney may have been quoting an Elvis song. There you go. Let's say he was, because it sure makes sense. The premise of this entire episode, by the way, was reused in Gomer Pyle season 3, episode 10, an episode called "Marry Me, Marry Me," and it was the Gomer Pyle USMC. The whole premise basically is reused in that season. So check out the Gomer Pyle episode and see what you think. So Jackie Coogan, who is Melissa Stevens' father that we see during the episode, he's best known. He plays George Stevens is his name. He's definitely best known to most of us as Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. So something you may not know about him is a child star in the 20s. Coogan earned millions. He made a lot of money, but his parents basically stole it. They squandered all of his money, and it actually led to the passage of the Coogan Act to protect child actors' earnings. So his personal history adds a little irony to the grifter in this episode, because his parents basically stole his money and he was trying to steal Barney's. Ooh, getting deep on these odd facts. All right. So the actress that is Melissa, I don't have a good shot of just her, so we'll use her and Barney. Her name is Beverly Tyler. Well, that was a trivia question as well. She dated all kinds of famous actors back in the day. I don't know who all these are, but maybe you do. She dated the likes of Tom Drake, Peter Lawford, Audie Murphy, Mickey Rooney, and Rory Calhoun. Despite this, she didn't settle down and get married until 1962, when she wed comedy writer and director Jim Jordan Jr., who is the son of a famous Fibber McGee and Molly radio couple. So he is their son. But this was also, she performed, I believe, in one other performance, a movie, I believe it was, after this episode, and retired. She never performed again. So this was the second to the last thing she ever did before she retired from acting. There you go. All right. So this is a little bit more information for you. A lot of people don't even know what a breach of promise is. So breach of promise laws were still relevant at this time. The con artist threatened Barney with a breach of promise lawsuit, a legal action where someone could sue for damages if an engagement was broken off. While this might seem outdated to us modern viewers, such laws were still in the books in North Carolina, where Mayberry is located, in 1961. North Carolina didn't fully repeal its breach of promise statute until 2019, meaning that Barney could have theoretically been legally vulnerable at the time of this episode. So not only then, up until 2019, somebody in North Carolina who broke off an engagement could be sued for breach of promise. Wow. I don't know that doesn't need to still be around. I don't know. That sounds like a pretty good law to me. I don't know. You give somebody a ring and then they break off with you. They get to keep it? Come on. All right. So there is all of our odd facts known by few. Odd facts known by few. All right. So let's go back and hit our trivia and make sure we got them all answered. I'm not sure we answered them all, but I think we did. So let's go back and run through them again. So here we go. In this episode, when it begins, Barney admonishes Thelma Lou for doing what? Illegally parking, kissing him, or holding his hand? It was kissing him. Yeah, don't kiss me. Like, don't do that in public. And number 2, Barney gives the visitor, a police escort so she can visit which Mayberry landmark? Was it the post office, the barbershop, or the hotel? Well, we already know he took her over to the post office. There you go. So how did y'all do originally on these? I guess we're checking your answers, I guess, as we go. The visitor introduces herself to Barney by what name? She was Melissa, right? Melissa. So it was multiple choice, but we already gave that answer out. According to Barney, what's yellow, has 4 legs, flies, and weighs 1,000 pounds? 2 500-pound, not gorillas, canaries. 2 500-pound canaries. Number 5, what? Barney says that when he leaves the deputy gig, he plans to do what? Is he going to become a sheriff, play professional ball, or get into private detective work? Professional ball. You reckon he'd have played football? Barney? No, he's going to get into private detective work. Barney says, basically he says, from now on, blank, Barney Fife. That's me. Well, that's level-headed Barney Fife. That's me. Level-headed. Number 7. The woman and her father threatened Barney with what kind of lawsuit? Well, we just went over that. It was a breach of promise. Breach of promise lawsuit. All right. Number 8. It's revealed the woman's real name is what? It was Gladys. Of course, when I hear the name Gladys, I think of Mrs. Kravitz. I don't know about you. Gladys is Mrs. Kravitz. All right, Gladys. All right, number 9. She shows her hand by referring to Barney as which of these insults? He's a squirt. Why would she marry a squirt like you? All right, and this one was the one I thought was hard because if you didn't know the actress's name, who plays the scam artist lady? Who's the woman? Well, it was Beverly Tyler. Beverly Tyler was the name. So that's all 10 of our questions. How did you do? Some of our folks in our chat room, if you'd like to join us in our chat room on most Monday nights, we record at 8 Eastern time. If you go to live.2chairsnowaiting.com, you can join in with our chat room. I'm seeing 8 and 9 folks over there saying they got 8 or 9 of them in our main chat room. And over on YouTube, some are saying 8 and different numbers over there. of course, they're saying when they hear Gladys, they think of Gladys Knight. Well, that's Mrs. Kravitz is who I think of. And Gladys Knight, I might think of Gladys Knight. But they got 8 or 9 over on YouTube too. So we have multiple chat rooms. You're more than welcome to join us. They enjoy visiting with one another during the podcast, and I enjoy just facilitating these conversations. So it's a lot of fun. All right. So by the way, the word squirt on YouTube is evidently filtered. I had to just approve somebody answering squirt. Who you calling squirt? I had to approve that. Wow. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. Well, guys, that is all I believe I have for you tonight. Let me check, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I think that's it. That's all of our trivia questions and all our odd facts known by a few. If you would like to make sure you see all these things, you can head over to mayberry.info, and once you're there, you can go to the episode guide, and from the episode guide, you can pick season 2. And you can go to Barney on the Rebound and get all the same information I just provided to you. So if you've forgotten anything, you can go and read it. There's a summary, and then there's a plot summary, and then there's a summary, which the plot summary is real short, and the summary is basically more details about the episode. All the odd facts are in there, all that I mentioned, along with all the characters and the actors who played them is listed over at mayberry.info. So I invite you to head over there and check that out. It's a fun website. It's got good information, and we try our very best to make sure it's correct. Okay. All right, guys, that I believe is all we have for you this week. I have enjoyed visiting with you, and I hope you've enjoyed being here in Mayberry. I hope you're enjoying us going through these episodes. I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415, or you can email me at floyd@imayberry.com. I would love to hear from you. Since you've stuck around to this point, at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you a little bonus, a song called More Mayberry that you can listen to after I finish up talking here. It's by Russell Estes. He provided it to me recently, so I want to encourage you to head and listen to it. It's pretty cool. He just sent it to me today, as a matter of fact. So check this out at the end of the podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, I'll see you right here on Two Chairs. Good night, everybody.
They tell us that the stock market crashed. They say the world has gone mad. Crime is up, people are mean, and even the good guys are bad. But I don't really agree. We still have God's grace. We can find what we need in a simpler place. We should get off our phones and see the world eye to eye. Drive a 2-lane road and watch the farms go by. We need a little more country, a place that is not that scary. We need more hay fields, we need more Mayberry. Guy on the news tells us about the latest scam. Can't trust no one except the great I am. But maybe we should look in some other places. A friendly sheriff, a trusty deputy, and smiling faces. Perhaps if we judge less and we don't have to fight,